It was a gray Monday when Marcus woke up with exactly $12.35 in his wallet. He counted the crumpled bills twice, his stomach already growling in anticipation of the breakfast he had been dreaming about all night. The small diner on Maple Street served the best scrambled eggs and coffee in the entire city, and for $12, he could get a decent meal that would keep him going until his paycheck arrived on Friday. For more days of careful budgeting, for more days of making every penny count, Marcus had been struggling for months now. After losing his job at the warehouse, he had been doing odd jobs here and there, barely making enough to cover his rent in the tiny studio apartment that smelled of mildew and old cigarettes. His landlord had been patient, but that patience was wearing thin. Every morning felt like a battle, every day a test of his resolve to keep going despite the overwhelming weight of financial pressure that pressed down on his shoulders like an invisible burden. He walked down the familiar streets, his worn sneakers making soft sounds against the wet pavement. The city was just beginning to wake up, and the early morning light filtered through the buildings in pale golden streaks. Marcus loved this time of day, before the chaos and noise took over, when everything still felt possible. He clutched his wallet tightly, already tasting the hot coffee and buttery toast he would order. As he approached the diner, he noticed a figure huddled in the doorway of an abandoned storefront. It was an older man, probably in his 70s. Wrapped in layers of tattered clothing that had long lost their original colors. His face was weathered and creased, marked by years of hardship that Marcus could only imagine. A cardboard sign rested against his knee, with words written in shaky handwriting that read, "Hungry? Anything helps. God bless." Marcus felt his chest tighten. He had walked past countless homeless people in this city, sometimes offering $1 or $2 when he could spare it. Other times averting his eyes and quickening his pace, consumed by his own problems. But something about this man stopped him in his tracks. Maybe it was the way the morning light fell across his weathered face, or perhaps it was the profound sadness in his eyes that seemed to hold entire lifetimes of pain and loss. The old man looked up and their eyes met. There was no plea in his gaze, no expectation, just a quiet acknowledgement of another human being. Marcus stood there, frozen, his hand instinctively moving to his wallet. He thought about his own hunger, about the long days ahead with no food, about the very real possibility that he might not make it through the week without this meal. Every rational thought in his head screamed at him to keep walking, to take care of himself first, to remember that he was barely surviving as it was. But then he saw the man's hands, trembling slightly in the cold morning air, and something shifted inside him. In that moment, Marcus realized that while he was hungry, this man was starving. While he had a roof over his head, however humble, this man had nothing but the cold concrete beneath him. While he had hope for Friday's paycheck, this man had no hope at all. Without allowing himself to think any further, Marcus pulled out his wallet and extracted all $12.35. He knelt down beside the old man and pressed the money into his weathered palm. "Please, sir, get yourself some breakfast. Get something warm." The old man's eyes widened, and for a moment, Marcus saw tears forming. "Son, are you sure? This looks like all you have." His voice was raspy but kind, carrying the weight of genuine concern. Marcus smiled, though his own eyes were stinging. "I'm sure. I'll be all right. You need it more than I do." The old man took the money with trembling hands, and Marcus noticed how thin and frail he looked beneath all those layers. "Thank you, son. You have no idea what this means. What's your name?" "Marcus. Marcus Chen." "Marcus," the old man repeated, as if committing it to memory. "You have a good heart, Marcus Chen. The world needs more people like you." Marcus stood up, feeling both lighter and heavier at the same time. He walked away from the diner, his stomach still growling, but his heart somehow fuller than it had been in months. He didn't know how he would make it through the next for days, but in that moment, it didn't seem to matter as much. He had done something that felt right, something that transcended his own immediate needs. What Marcus didn't know couldn't possibly have known was that the old man he had just helped was actually Theodore Blackwell, a retired businessman worth over $40 million. Theodore had been diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer 6 months earlier, given only weeks to live. In his final days, he had made a decision that his family and lawyers thought was insane. He had disguised himself as homeless and taken to the streets, determined to find someone worthy of his fortune, someone who would demonstrate true compassion and selflessness without any expectation of reward. Theodore had sat on those cold streets for 3 weeks, watching thousands of people walk past him. Some had thrown coins, a few had stopped to talk, but most had simply looked through him as if he were invisible. He had begun to lose hope in humanity, wondering if genuine kindness even existed anymore in this cynical, self-absorbed world. He had been about to give up his experiment when Marcus had stopped. That evening, as Marcus lay in his apartment trying to ignore his hunger pangs by reading an old book, there was a knock on his door. He opened it to find a man in an expensive suit standing there, holding a briefcase. "Marcus Chen?" the man asked formally. "Yes, that's me. Can I help you?" "My name is Robert Patterson. I'm an attorney representing Theodore Blackwell. May I come in?" Confused and slightly worried, Marcus stepped aside to let the lawyer enter. Robert Patterson sat down and opened his briefcase, pulling out several documents. "Mr. Chen, are you the individual who gave money to an elderly homeless man this morning on Maple Street?" Marcus felt his heart race. Had he done something wrong? Was the old man actually someone dangerous? "Yes, I did. Is everything okay? Is he all right?" The lawyer smiled, and it was a genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Mr. Chen, that man was Theodore Blackwell, my client. He is a very wealthy man who has been searching for someone with a truly compassionate heart. He has terminal cancer and wanted to ensure his fortune went to someone deserving. This morning, you gave him every dollar you had, money you desperately needed for your own survival, asking for nothing in return. Theodore wants you to know that you have restored his faith in humanity." Marcus couldn't process what he was hearing. "I don't understand. I just wanted to help him." "Exactly," Robert said. "That's precisely why Theodore has decided to leave his entire estate to you. $42 million, along with several properties and investments. He passed away this afternoon, Mr. Chen, but he died happy, knowing there was still genuine goodness in the world." Marcus sat down heavily, his mind reeling. Tears streamed down his face as he thought about the old man, about his kind eyes and gentle voice, about how he had been suffering alone, dying, testing humanity one final time. "I didn't do it for money. I just saw someone who needed help." "We know," Robert said softly. "That's exactly why you're the right person. Theodore left you a letter." With shaking hands, Marcus opened the envelope. The letter was written in the same shaky handwriting he had seen on the cardboard sign. It read, "Dear Marcus, true wealth isn't measured in dollars but in the capacity of the human heart to care for others. You gave everything you had to a stranger, expecting nothing. That is the rarest treasure of all. Use this fortune to continue spreading kindness in the world. Thank you for helping an old man believe in love again. Theodore." Marcus wept, not for the money he would receive, but for the beautiful soul who had suffered in silence, searching desperately for proof that humanity hadn't lost its way entirely. In giving away his last $12, Marcus had received something far more valuable than any fortune: the knowledge that a simple act of compassion could change everything, could restore faith, could honor a dying man's final wish to see goodness in the world one last time.